Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Buckets and Birdies podcast.
Buckets and Birdies is a weekly glimpse into the worlds of basketball and golf.
We'll also balance national sports trends with ACC insights
and provide a lens of notable happenings of sports in our home state of North Carolina.
Two friends and industry professionals getting together to bring you 23 minutes of fun each week with shared experiences around buckets
and birdies.
He's Carter Bills, sports agent and seasoned consultant in the golf space.
Joining me on the mic is national champion, Tar Heel great, Marcus Ginyard.
Welcome to Buckets and Birdies. Welcome to another episode of the Buckets and Birdies podcast.
It's Sunday, March 29th, and when you're hearing this one, it'll be Friday, April 3rd. April, Marcus, where did March go?
I don't know. We still got a couple more days, though, Carter. But you're right. You'll be hearing this on Friday at high noon.
Thanks to everyone for catching up with Buckets and Birdies. 23 minutes of our thoughts for you.
We appreciate you.
And as positive people who like positive things, we'll start this one as we always do, Marcus, with the quote of the day. And the quote today is, don't give up, don't ever give up.
Coach Jimmy V. And there's nobody more positive right now, Carter. I'm going to just jump right off the top here. There's nobody more positive than the UConn Huskies, who did not give up, coming back from a 19-point deficit to beat the Dook Blue Devils, which some people might think that, I feel a little bad for them. I don't. Newsflash, I don't. But yeah, man, how about that game just now? I mean, the game ended not too long ago. I'm sure you were in front of the TV. I was in front of the iPad. What did you see out there?
You had the same off the top I did, Marcus. I'm just thinking, what kind of team would give up a 19-point lead in March when you had ability to close the game?
Careful there, buddy, because we did. Okay,
Wait,
we did too.
I know. Did that on purpose a little bit, a little bit of self-shame for the Tar Heels, but the Blue Devils could taste the Final Four, and man, they let the UConn Huskies come back, and UConn took advantage. Talk about a team that takes on the personality of their coach. Grit, fight, stick-to-itiveness. It looked like they were done, Marcus, but I was impressed with how they didn't give up.
Incredibly impressive performance. You got to take your hat off to Duke for how they played all season long. But, this is why, again, we get back to it every time we've talked about March Madness, man. This is Christmas in March, and you can just never, ever think that the game is over. You got to play all 40 minutes down to the last half second. This is not the first time that we've seen a last-second shot be the deciding factor of a game. That's why we're here. That's why we love March Madness.
Yeah, and this shot is one of the ones that I think, Marcus, gets replayed for years and years to come. It's not a championship game shot. It's not a Final Four shot, but it was a shot to go to the Final Four in a game that pretty much looked decided. And I think we see this one for years to come.
There's no doubt in my mind that this is already a top 10 shot in NCAA history. You talked about making this shot to go to the Final Four. You immediately think about a guy like Luke May and that shot that we've seen so many times year after year. I mean, this is no doubt a huge shot that we will be watching for a very long time.
Man, some big-time Elite Eight shots now that you say. Luke May makes a shot to go to the Final Four over Kentucky. Big-time game in, 2017?
17, yep.
Hills would go on to cut down the nets. Christian Laettner, I believe it was Elite Eight versus Kentucky that he hits the famous catch from Grant Hill, turnaround Jay. Duke Blue Devils go on to win. Let's see what happens for the UConn Huskies. They have got sort of a new lease on life after that shot. You think about how good Michigan's playing, how good Arizona's playing, probably the best two in the tournament left, I would say, Marcus, as far as how they're playing. A 1 seed and a 1 seed, both on the other side of the bracket. Now, Illinois is nothing to scoff at. UConn's going to have to be ready. They've got a big-time Final Four game. But wow, they've got an opportunity in front of them as they look to next weekend in Indianapolis.
Man, you said it. They got some big names in the Final Four. Everybody's looking, at these number 1 seeds in Arizona and in Michigan. But don't forget about Illinois. I think that they're going to be a team that people may overlook. I mean, you're in the Final Four. You can't overlook any of these teams. But I'll be looking for Illinois to have a big-time game as they come out against UConn.
All right, Marcus, that obviously takes us right into our bucket section today. And we've gone through our brackets each week. Somehow we're now down to the Final Four. It happened so fast. And I want to take a look, Marcus. Where are you with your bracket? I'll take a look at mine. Let's see who we got left.
Carter, I don't think my bracket's looking that great at all. I had all 2 seeds, if I remember correctly. And If I'm not mistaken, I had UConn winning. So I do still have UConn in the mix. Did not foresee Tennessee making it this far. And of course, had Purdue getting by as well. But I still got one team alive, so not too shabby.
Not too shabby. I think I only have one team as well. I had Michigan going to the Final Four. I had Houston going to the Final Four. I had Michigan State going to the Final Four, and Purdue. We both dropped Purdue. I dropped Michigan State. Great win from UConn. Great win again from UConn today to march on again. And then Michigan. I mean, how much of the game did you catch before Duke UConn today? Michigan really put on a show. As you said, congratulations to the Tennessee Volunteers for making it this far. But Michigan showed everyone why they're a 1 seed today, Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan just had way too much for Tennessee to handle. From the very beginning of the game, there was no doubt in my mind that Michigan was going to go on to win. I mean, they were just firing on all cylinders. I mean, everything seemed to be going their way. Tennessee gave a great effort, but you could just tell they were completely outpowered by Michigan. And honestly, after that game, I'm thinking a little bit different about that matchup between Arizona and Michigan. I mean, obviously, I didn't even have Arizona in it, but just as these games have been unfolding, I've been thinking about, man, Arizona looks really, really good. But after that Michigan game today, I mean, that's going to be a tough matchup. I mean, that is definitely going to be a game where you want to be sitting square in front of the TV. Those are going to be two juggernauts going up against each other.
Yeah, that is going to be prime time. I was thinking the same thing, Marcus. Watching the ball movement from Michigan today, the way that they were getting easy buckets, and I tell you, a lot of that goes back to the point guard play of Elliot Cadeau. I know there were things in his years in Chapel Hill that drove you crazy sometimes. Some of the turnovers, some of the missed threes, some of the maybe possessions off on defense. He has really flipped a trigger, and we always knew he could pass the ball. So I think that passing is contagious. The amount of easy buckets I watched the Michigan Wolverines get this afternoon was unreal for this late in the game in March Madness. And again, I credit it to when he makes that extra pass, it feels like the team wants to keep making the extra pass. They're getting either wide open layups, Marcus, or open three-pointers.
I mean, they shared the basketball in a way that I haven't really seen. I mean, really made me think about the Golden State Warriors. I mean, everybody's touching the ball multiple times each possession. They're passing up relatively open shots to get even more open shots. And credit Elliot Cadeau. He's a big reason why they move the ball so well. A phenomenal player, don't get me wrong. His attitude definitely got me a little frustrated during his time here in Chapel Hill, but he's an elite guard. He's a great player and is a huge part of Michigan's success until now.
I love to see a true point guard doing true point guard things, and he helps the Wolverines march on. As we look at that side of the bracket, Marcus, Arizona and Michigan, if we repick, who are you going with now as we look towards Indianapolis this coming weekend?
On that side of the bracket, Carter, I'm gonna go with Michigan. But again, that is going to be a serious matchup, an incredible game to watch, and really looking forward to it. But I think Michigan is going to edge out on that one.
If the national championship game is not the game of the tournament, and if today's Duke UConn game is not the game of the tournament, I'm with you. That's going to be the game of the tournament this year, Mark. It's going to be big time.
And then what about on the other side?
So on the other side, Marcus, we've got UConn and Illinois. You had UConn going there. I knew it would be sort of a coin flip between UConn and Michigan State. They march on again. So I was wrong completely because, again, I picked guard play and went with the Spartans early. UConn marches on, which keeps them alive for you. I don't think either of us saw Illinois playing this well. In fact, I thought they might be vulnerable early on. But steady Eddie, they have been through the tournament. I think Paige Stojakovic's son, young Stojakovic, who we saw last year in the ACC at Cal, has proven that he's here to play. Like his dad, he can make it from outside, make it from inside. He's scoring all over the place. And Illinois has a lot of fight to him. Have you got to see the Illini? And what do you think about that game as they look to face off in Indianapolis, Marcus?
I mean, Carter, they don't call them the Fighting Illini for no reason. These guys, they've got some grit. They've got some toughness. And they've shown that they're trying to make a name for themselves, have made a name for themselves, even though people have been overlooking them a little bit. I think that they are, to your point, a great team that scores inside and outside. They've got experience. I do like their guard play. Maybe not as much as I like UConn's guard play, but they are going to be a formidable opponent for the UConn Huskies.
No question. I agree with you. They don't call them the Fighting Illini for nothing. They're going to fight. I do think that the UConn Huskies are going to be ready to go. I think they know that they got a new lease on life when they looked kind of DOA for the second half of that Duke game. They fought. They've earned their way to keep going, and I think they keep going, Marcus, not without a fight from Illinois. But I think it's almost storybook. You have Mullins that makes the game-winning three, right, against Duke. going back to Indianapolis, where he played high school basketball for his dad in Indiana. One of those Indiana true form kind of guys that steps into a three and dagger, knocks it down. I really thought Caravan at the end of that Duke game was going to take the shot. We talked about great ball movement from Michigan. What great team play and unselfishness from UConn when you look at Caravan, maybe the winningest player still in college basketball right now, who gets the ball, elbow extended on the three. I'm thinking he's going to jab, step back, something, and take the shot. He sees his teammate, who just made the steal, by the way, steal of a lifetime, walk into the ability to knock down a three, and he gives up the ball. But what a shot by Mullins, who now, Marcus, goes back to Indiana with a chance to really have a storybook ending in Indianapolis.
I think this is, again, just why we love March Madness. All these stories seem to come together in the most perfect way. And, you talked about it. Mullins also got the steal, which I think is great, right? So for him to get the steal, give it up, get it back, great teamwork.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Truly amazing.
All right, so it sounds like we both have UConn. Yes, on that side.
Yes.
You had them all along. I did not. Glad to rock with them now. Go Huskies. UConn, and it sounds like we both might have Michigan on the other side. I'm going with Michigan on the other side.
UConn, Michigan in the national championship game, and then I think UConn is going to edge them out. I think they're going to start talking a little bit more about a dynasty potentially, but I think UConn is going to walk away with this one.
I'm with you. My son, as you saw a video earlier, all he knows growing up, besides being a Tar Heel fan or a High Point fan here locally, is UConn Huskies nationally. They've been to the Final Four now, Marcus, in 3 years, where he may only remember 5 Final Fours. So the UConn Huskies are cementing themselves not only over the last 30 years, but really of recent history. I think you're right. I think it's dynasty material what they're doing. And Marcus, that dynasty material comes in the form of big banners. And in Chapel Hill, we like to count big banners. This would be number 7 for UConn, Marcus. 7. All since 99.
All since 1999?
All since 99. With Calhoun, obviously Calhoun again in 04. You had Calhoun again in, 11, Kevin Ollie in 14, and then the last couple with Dan Hurley, 2 of the last 3 years here recently. This would be 7, all since 99. That's pretty remarkable. We know that UConn might hang its 7th banner here in a week's time, Marcus. What we also know is that Duke will not hang its 6th. So as we count banners against Chapel Hill, I think we have to count our wins in some cases.
Hey, I'm good. We in my book as a fan, we won. So I'm all good, man. All right, Carter, as we transition from buckets to birdies, it's time for Nets and Jackets, where you, Carter, are put on the spot to tell us the men's national champion and also the Masters champion of any given year. And this year, you have already gotten the men's national champion. The year is 2004. You have already told us that Jim Calhoun and his UConn Huskies won in 2004, so I will go ahead and give you credit for that. So tell us, who is the Masters champion in 2004?
2004, Marcus, was the first of 3 Masters wins for lefty Phil Mickelson.
Correct indeed. I'll tell you, Carter, you're on a roll here, buddy. You're on a roll.
I didn't mean to spill the beans. Obviously, I don't know what year you're going to say. I didn't know. We were just going through UConn's wins. I'll give you a little extra tidbit. 2004, Emeka Okafor, the most outstanding player. Ben Gordon, obviously a great player on that team as well. They went up against an ACC opponent, if memory serves. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Jared Jack, BJ Elder, and that team marched all the way in a special run to the national championship game in 04 as well.
Yeah, they did, and that was a hell of a game. So tell us, Carter, what's going on in the world of golf?
All right, Marcus, on the PGA Tour this week, the Houston Open just concluded here on Sunday night, and I couldn't be happier for the champion, Gary Woodland. You and I were talking a little bit about him before. What a battle Gary's had. Gary went from winning the U.S. Open in 2019, riding high as a major champion, to just a couple short years ago, Marcus, having some health issues, realizing there was a tumor in his brain, having to have that removed, coming back on a major medical. Just early this season, Marcus, on top of that, has been very open about his mental health and mental stability and his confidence and how going through that surgery has shaken him and his ability to play golf and his identity. But he's such a great guy, such a well-rounded guy. Anyone that you'd meet on tour, anyone that's ever interacted with Gary would tell you he's just one of the nicest people you'd ever meet. He goes on to win the Houston Open today, Marcus, opens all sorts of doors back for him. He's in all the signature events. And now Gary is firmly back in people's mind as we head into the Masters in a week's time. So happy for Gary. The win gets him in the Masters, Marcus. He was not in the Masters. He had just gotten outside of his major championship exemptions recently, so he's in the Masters.
Let's go. Welcome, Gary. Welcome to Augusta. No, I mean, that's a great story. And, as we circle back to the quote of the day today, and, just thinking about never giving up. And this is one of those opportunities where he could have easily given up. You've got a medical hardship like that. Something that serious and that grave, I think it's really easy for folks to think about, stepping away and not coming back. But the fact that he continued to battle through and now finds himself a winner on tour again. And, as you mentioned, getting himself now prepared to head to Augusta. I just think those are the great stories in sports that we love to read about and watch and follow. To see people continue to persevere and get over large obstacles like that. And so hopefully there's some folks out there that are watching that get inspired and will continue to push through all the things that they're going through and still believe that there's a chance they can, be a champion one day.
Well said. Happy for you, Gary. And Marcus, also as we look to Augusta, I think back a week ago, I'm watching the TGL finals. I don't know if you called it at all, but Tiger Woods' Jupiter Lynx team was in the finals of TGL, and he's swinging a golf club competitively for the first time in months, nearly a couple years, I think, Marcus. And he's looking pretty good. You see some grimacing, maybe dealing with some back pain, understandably. He's gone through back surgeries and knee surgeries and leg breaks and Achilles tears, and he looks like he's finally coming back. And we know why he was swinging competitively a week ago, right? He's thinking Augusta. As long as he can walk that thing, he was showing the world that he can still swing like Tiger Woods, hitting some amazing shots. And I'm thinking, wow, Marcus, we're going to come on here and talk about Tiger Woods is coming back for the Masters. Feels reminiscent of 2019 when, by the way, he marched all the way to barely making it in people's minds to winning the darn thing. And I'm thinking we're going to be talking about that again. And lo and behold, we have a car wreck early last week. Fortunately, Tiger's okay. No one was injured. And everything seems to be fine. I just hope that he's in a place where he can still walk. He can still march towards trying to play because golf is better when Tiger Woods is playing. And gosh, the Masters tournament sure is a lot more exciting when Tiger Woods is in the field.
Would obviously love to see Tiger Woods in the field at Augusta, but ultimately, as you said, just hope that he's doing okay and he's finding the best way to recover from this. Clearly going through some tough times, but just hoping that he can find a way to get back to feeling good enough to compete, but just making sure that he's doing all right. All right, Carter, that brings us nicely to our Beyond the Box Score feature.
Everything Marcus and I talk about is Beyond the Box Score, but specifically each week, we take a dive into one story from the North State Journal's Beyond the Box Score feature in its sports section.
The North State Journal is North Carolina's only statewide newspaper.
For more on the North State Journal, check out nsjonline.com. And Marcus, this week, the North State Journal's Beyond the Box Score feature takes us back to the Triangle and with college basketball and Will Wade, Marcus, leaving what seemed to be in the night proverbially, as he returns to LSU. What have you seen of this story? What have you seen of the fallout of it in the Triangle area? And where do the Wolfpack go from here?
Carter, this on one side absolutely blows my mind, right? Like you see Will Wade come to state, you hear all the interviews about how he's committed to being here and building this team and, taking this program from wherever they are now to the next level. And you saw his interview after the last game. I'm committed to being here. We're already talking about next year with the administration, et cetera, et cetera. And then, like you said, man, like in the middle of the night, poof, now this guy's the head coach at LSU. And you're thinking, what the is going on here? Well, that's one side. But then on the other side, Carter, you're like, but we're talking about Will Wade here, right? He's got a history of being, I don't know, for lack of better words, a slime ball, a little loose, right? And so on one side, I'm not surprised at all that this happened. And, we were talking about this before the show, but now there's some stuff coming out here that he might have been putting offers in on houses a month ago. And I mean, like, this starts to seem like there could have been a larger plan to this, at least recently, right? And, there's awesome connectivity there with, I believe, the AD at LSU now. I think there's some history there back when he was at NC State. It all seems pretty fishy. It stinks. It stinks. It definitely stinks to high hell here. So I don't know exactly what all went down, but at the end of the day, Will Wade is no longer the head coach at NC State after just one season. And I know that's got to sting for Wolfpack fans. Whether they did great this year or not, I mean, I just think that it stings to have to be on the market for a new coach again. I think everybody was relatively excited about that hire. And quite frankly, I thought it was a great hire. And so now, there's multiple teams in the triangle looking for a head coach. Can't remember the last time that happened.
I would say thanks, NC State, for taking some of the pressure off North Carolina, who I know is still in the midst of a, very serious hunt for its next head basketball coach. But, I mean, wow. Duke loses. Thanks. NC State, Will Wade. Thanks. So, fun times in the triangle with basketball and Tobacco Road right now, Marcus.
It's crazy. Everybody thinks about the triangle as being, having the elite basketball programs. I tell you right now, it's a tough night. It's been a tough week for basketball in the triangle.
We've got some work to do. And I will say this. I do hope NC State gives a serious look to Justin Gainey. Justin grew up in High Point, ended up playing his high school basketball at Greensboro Day. I watched him growing up, played against his brother Jadao. Could not be a bigger fan of his career. I think a 4-year starter at NC State, Marcus. And the first assistant, I believe now, for Rick Barnes at Tennessee, who heralds him as an unbelievable recruiter, unbelievable guy with player development. We know he can coach. We know the type of coaches he's been around. I'd love to see him get his chance as a former point guard from NC State. Seems like a nice fit.
It certainly could be, Carter. But there's some big-time decisions getting made in the triangle here shortly, so we'll keep our eyes out for it.
All right, guys, that's all for today.
Thanks for tuning in to the Buckets and Birdies podcast.
That's 23 minutes of our thoughts for you. For Marcus Ginyard, I'm Carter Bills.
We'll catch you next time from Augusta.
He was down by 3. 1 out of 2. 72-70. Duke, 10 seconds to go.
Got to cut and run through the ball. And who better than this guy?
Get it into Boozer. Back for Sarr. Ahead. Boozer. That ball deflected. And stolen by
Come on. Dude, knock it down.
Oh,
let's go! Oh, my God! Holy shit! Oh, my God!
Utterly impossible.
Utterly impossible! Oh, shit!
The reaction, and then the major nuggets
Dude.
out of Indiana.
Oh, my God. March Madness. Holy shit.
Madness at its finest.